So I've been a nurse consultant for 20 odd years working with people living with dementia. And what really struck me about that whole movement and the way people with dementia are, I am saying deliberately, allowed to live their lives, is that they are controlled by other people. They are lesser of a person by all of us in this room. We largely treat people with dementia as lesser of a person. And so my whole thing as a nurse has been about elevating their personhood, about actually giving voice to voiceless people who aren't able to express it. And they can only express it through anger, through lashing out, through various physical manifestations that people blame them for, through various ways, but yet they are expressing their voice on a continuous basis and has failed to be captured. And so that came together for me in terms of that whole embodiment of how we actually treat people as persons through a program I've been leading in Scotland for the last 5 years, which is just finished, called BOLD, which is called Bringing Out Leaders in Dementia. And essentially it's a program of leadership development, so it's a leadership school for people living with dementia, so that they can become leaders in their own communities, of their own lives, of the people who are around them, to actually take back some control of their own destiny. Because actually, as nurses, we fail them terribly. I am embarrassed often by my own profession in relation to the things that we do and what it is that we think is care, when it's as far from care as we could ever possibly imagine. So that whole idea of actually saying we need to develop processes that will give voice back is something that I think we all need to really take a hard look at ourselves in relation to how we do that and what we do to do it. And so the BOLD program is essentially run through the arts. We very quickly recognize that if we're going to talk about, democratic processes here, about citizenship, about people having control, then if we just rely on cognitive processes of voice, then we're just being totally contradictory to what we are actually saying this thing is about. And so the arts became our main tools, really, for connecting with people. And I could talk for another 5 hours about the things that have come from that in relation to the way people have become empowered. I never say we empowered anyone, we have no right to, but people became empowered to actually take tiny bits of control back over their lives that have made a huge difference to family members, made a huge difference to communities, have given voice to things that were just ignored in communities or were actually downright abuse in relation to how people actually work. But what I would say, and what I wanted to focus on probably is the main provocation in all of that experience, because I'm now bringing that here, is about some of the challenges that we experienced in trying to do that in a way that isn't the usual sterile research development process. Firstly, was a challenge from the art community, actually, around right and wrong art. Did this really count as art, what these people were doing? Was me, because I don't label myself as an artist, did I have any right, in a sense, to be leading something that was like this? And it picks up your point about the way we box it off and the way we position people. We've got a real thing to really think carefully about the way we talk about artistic expression, creativity, and what that really means as a common language rather than one that is right or wrong. Our real process was not about art as product, although we produced some amazing stuff, but it was really about art as engagement and how do we really elevate that as a normalized part of practice, but also as a normalized part of how we do research and how we work with people in an authentic, engaged way. And I think for me, that is the biggest lesson and the thing that I think is our biggest challenge, which picks up the whole measurement, positivistic view of the world, is we are so devoid of really strong, authentic methodologies in the science space. So I was thinking about this yesterday. I was on a funding panel reviewing grants for, I won't say where or how, and I was sitting there almost with my head in my hands thinking, God, I just wish this is just stop. It's like these are getting a lot of dollars to do a lot of big health research, and missing the point, as far as I'm concerned. Missing the point around engagement, missing the point around wellness, missing the point around bigger picture than we have just discovered that tiny little piece, and really missing the point about how this transfers into meaningful working community. But yet we are pumping millions and millions of dollars into that kind of research that keeps on telling us the same thing. And when you try to do something that's more authentic, it really doesn't get funding from those mainstream panels. But in part, I think we have a problem with the methodologies and how we evaluate this work in a way that is authentic and that is part of the whole process itself. So what I really want to challenge us all about is the way we kind of engage in a very linear thinking model when we think about engagement, when we think about participation, when we think about methodologies for change, when we think about methodologies for things like social prescribing, input-output models that just don't work. But we need to really actively, as a community, work to create methodologies that are far more authentic and embedded.